Hey people, thanks for joining me on another one of Chris's beer reviews. I'm not one to really enjoy barley wine, barley wine brews over here, but we got a Shipyard Brewing Company, um, Alan Pugsley Signature Series. It's an 8.5% ABV in a 625 uh, milliliter bottle. It says port of origination for stamp, whatever that's supposed to mean. Um, and Pugsley's signature series is named after Shipyard's Brewing Company's master brewer, Alan Pugsley. Alan is from England, where he worked with Peter Austin at the world famous Ringwood Brewery before moving to the United States in 1986. Barley wine style ale is brewed in true English tradition. This is a big beer made of 6 different malts: pale ale, crystal, caramunich or caramunich, wheat, chocolate, and roasted barley, which is pretty interesting. To be completely honest with you, I've never had um, there be a chocolatey taste in a barley wine. Um, it says, and balanced with a very full hop charge of Summit, Challenger, and Fuggles hops. So, there's Fuggles hops in there. It might taste a little bit kind of like an English ale, on top of the fact that it's going to taste like a mighty barley wine. It says it is a deep reddish brown color with a complex fruity nose, a very dark, full body. A very full body and an interesting balance between grains and hops, which ends with a pleasing dry taste. To fully experience all the flavors, this ale is best enjoyed at 13 degrees Celsius, which I can tell you is pretty close to what it is right now. Winter's around the corner, and I got this on my balcony, and that's pretty much around the temperature that we're talking about here. So it's a barley wine, so I thought ahead. I'm going to be drinking it out of flute glass, which is very, very similar to a tulip glass. Um, Flute glass doesn't really have that fat body in between, but it's narrow at the bottom and it's narrow at the top. Um, it's going to be interesting. All right. Haven't had a barley wine in a long time. I think the last one I had was the Mill Street Brewery barley wine. I used to hate barley wine, and I've actually started to get a little bit of a taste for it. So that was quite huge. Not normally do beers have such a pop. And one thing that's also interesting here is, I don't know if you noticed, but under this stupid frilly stuff which is stuck to the cap, there appears to be a whole other bottle cap. So I'm going to be trying to get that. Now, what's the point of putting all this frilly stuff on it if you already have the cap? So I'm getting there, but it's going to be a while. All right, let's see what this baby tastes like. Not a big fan of this stuff. Sometimes it gets into the beer, and you can all imagine what that tastes like. Mmm. This really does have a nice, complex, fruity nose. Usually, when I'm when I take a whiff of the barley wines, they just have a very bitter, hoppy aroma to it. This one actually has a lot of fruitiness going on in there. And now all I can smell is barley. All right, so this is very, very interesting. This is easily the darkest barley wine I've ever had. Lots and lots of head. We got freaking 3-finger head here. You can tell that this is going to have some very interesting dark fruitiness going on in there. I'm really hoping that chocolate flavor is going to smack me in the face, because I'm a big fan of chocolate flavors in my beers. So yeah, we get a little bit of chocolate. Get some dark fruitiness in there, kind of like almost like dates and blueberries. These aromas may not necessarily all be actually in the beer, um, but it's a combination of flavors which creates wonderful things here. All right, so here we go. It looks black, but really truly from my perspective, if I hold it up to the light, it's got kind of a, you can see it's got a little bit of a brownness to it right over here around the side. So it really is a very, very dark, almost black brown. Very interesting. Um, very, very interesting. Now, I'm drinking it, and their smashed blueberry that they got, their raspberry porter that they have. I'm getting a very, very similar taste that I got from all of that type of their brews. It's like a very dark and roasted taste, except in this case, you get a little bit of chocolate. You get the barley wine, but it's not so overpowering. There's so many other things going on with this beer that is actually taking away from what I would like to consider the nastiness of the barley wine. So it actually is quite interesting. I mean, you could almost consider this, and I said this yesterday to another beer, this could be very much a gateway, um, a gateway beverage to other types of barley wines that are out there. Because to be honest with you, the first barley wine that I've ever had was easily the most potent. It was easily the most bitter and the most undesirable thing I've ever had in my life. The very dark, burnt, roasted texture that you get on your tongue from this beer is actually taking away from the bitterness of the other flavors. So I'm really, really interested. It does have a dry approach, like it also explained on the bottle. I'm also going to say that the reason why it does have a dry approach is because of those roasted, burnt flavors that you have going on here. So that is full of flavor, very interesting. It is, friendly reminder, 8.5% ABV. I can tell you that you do taste the booziness in this. This could be the type of beer that would be worth aging for a minimum of 6 months. I say 6 months because if you're aging a beer, minimum requirement of aging is 6 months for it to actually make any sort of difference to the brew. Now you got to realize, people, when you buy a brew, that might not necessarily mean that 6 months from that date it's a 6-month beer. All beers have dates on them from when they were actually manufactured. That's the date that you should be going for. And you know what? Be safe. If 6 months is, the cusp of the time, so to speak, that you can really start noticing a difference in the changes of aging a brew, go for 7 months. Go for 8 months. Just don't try to hold it off for too long because unfortunately, some people have gone out of many people have gone out of their ways to age really, really good beers, and they've aged them for too long, and it ends up ruining the beer. Now, I just want to make something clear. It is also very possible that these people have bought a bad bottle to begin with, and that they were aging the bad bottle. So if I were you, if you know you're buying something that you really want to age, you really, really, really want to taste the difference, buy 2 bottles of it. Chances are one of them is going to be bad. I've never bought 2 bottles and both of them have been bad before, so that just gives you a little bit more of a chance in your odds. Anyways, people, I've been talking out of my butt. I've had 2 sips of this thing. Haven't even given you a rating. I will tell you though, the further I'm getting down to the bottom of this bottle, the more you're starting to pick up on that gnarly barley taste that I'm not a big fan of. But all that aside, what I'm getting from this is that it's easily the best barley wine I've ever had. I can't imagine me giving too many good barley wine reviews, so I'm going to have to say for barley wines, I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. It's right up there. No complaints. If you can make a barley wine taste better than this, then it sure as hell will definitely earn its 10 out of 10 title if that's what I'm going to give it. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Another one of Chris's beer reviews. Don't drink and drive, but drink responsibly. Cheers.